of funds for the revolution, however, were neither the crackpot Russian millionaires or the armed bandits of Lenin. The real money primarily came from certain British and American circles, which for a long time past had lent their support to the Russian revolutionary cause. The important part played by the wealthy American banker Jacob Schiff in the events in Russia, though as yet only partially revealed, is no longer a secret. And I don't know if I can stress how huge this is, people, because, and I know a lot of you probably know about this, but it's just when you really think about that. So supporting people who brought about, Bolshevism and communism, something that led to the deaths of just a amount of people that literally is just hard for me to even think of. I mean, I'm not just saying that to sound dramatic. I mean, this is absolutely hellish, so who knows what these people are up to now. We actually will. I mean, we have a pretty good idea of what they're up to now. Schiff's participation in the Bolshevik Revolution was well known among Allied intelligence services at the time. Later evidence indicates that the bankrolling of the Bolsheviks was handled by a syndicate of international bankers, which, in addition to the Schiff-Warburg clique, included more. Documents show that the Morgan organization put at least $1 million in the Red Revolutionary Kitty. The paymaster of these funds in Petrograd, where the revolution started, was Lord Alfred Milner, head of the secret Roundtable Group, which was backed by Lord Rothschild. Golovich reveals that, quote, in private interviews, I was told that over 21 million rubles, I'm not sure what that is, were spent. That must be a form of currency. In private interviews, I was told that over 21 million rubles were spent by Lord Milner in financing the Russian Revolution. So yeah, I mean, it's just going back to the point I was saying from the beginning. And I'm not just saying this to sound controversial or anything, but yeah, I mean, you got to be suspicious when you start hearing someone getting really gung-ho talking about revolution this, revolution that, or talking about violent overthrows of the government and stuff. You really got to start to wonder if they are literally at works in our country trying to fund or are funding a revolutionary movement at this time to overthrow and take over the U.S. government to set up the system that they want. There is evidence. I mean, they fund, some pretty political activist groups. Some of those environmentalist groups. I believe Greenpeace. They're all funded by these major globalists. But I mean, wow, it's so amazing. I mean, these people, they just play. It's like a game of chess for them. It's like chess, but I guess they're really winning. They just, they move pawns, and they know, to them, they can. Okay, so to us, a decision I would make in my everyday life is, choosing which restaurant to go to. For them, they choose which revolutionary group they want to support in order to overthrow a government and put in a brutal dictator. That's the power these people have. Okay. And a lot of these people are people that are rarely in the public eye. I mean, so many quotes I've read in the past, the real government is behind the scenes. The real government is, the corporatists and the shadow government, the Illuminati, people that you rarely ever see all that much. So it's pretty intense when you study the conspiratorial view of history. Let me just go back. Also you look at even Pearl Harbor now. It is confirmed that they knew about Pearl Harbor in World War II. Actually, I found this is actually really interesting. Let me go to this real quick. If you go to Ralph Epperson's website, I know I've been quoting him a lot, but I'm telling you, that guy did really great research, and I need to try to get him back on the show. But you go to ralph-epperson.com. I believe he has an actual, here it is. I wish where's the date of it? Okay, let's see. Okay, well, this is a news article that with the headline. Okay, wait, I think I can see the date. Oh, wow. This is a good one. Okay, he has a news article from November 30th, an actual photocopy. November 30th, 1941. This is Japan may strike over weekend. So the signs of foreknowledge and that, and who knows, maybe they orchestrated it just like they did 9/11, just like they had all the foreknowledge of 9/11. And man, and a lot of people have been talking about this possible false flag from the Simpsons, and there's that Simpsons video, and then I guess Webbot's been saying some stuff's going on, and I don't know. I just hear predictions all the time. I just come to be a little hesitant, but I will say this: it was strange with Obama going overseas with all those warships and all those high up people. And then what else? Oh, I did read an article about a drill. What when they're doing drills, they mean business. It was like a nuclear bomb drill. So yeah, I mean it's very I'm not saying it's totally not gonna happen, but it is it is a bit worrisome. But it's just so hard, people. I mean, to put dates on things, and I don't know why people so badly want to put dates on things, because a lot of times it just backfires. So I mean, the only way you would really know is if you're working with them, obviously. All of us, we're looking at this from an outsider perspective, and even when I try to get, in their mindset, ultimately, I can just do we can all just do the best we can as far as what the future holds. But one way to do it, I think, is looking through to the past and just seeing how they fund, these revolutions and everything, like that. So I really hit on today like I said, I do plan on going more into how World War I was started. I think that's very interesting, that group called the Black Hand with their weird Illuminati symbology. That, and then, we also know now Hitler, purposely burned his own Reichstag, which is well known, goes in the whole false flag thing. But literally all of the things in history that matter are the result of conspiracy. And you can see, the Illuminati's footprints in basically anything, I mean, even you look at the operations of NASA, the moon landing is very questionable. I used to kind of scoff at that and think, oh, that's silly. But no, I mean, yeah, there is. I think there might be something to that, to be honest. And let me just go here and look at some more of my notes I've taken on the conspiratorial view of history. Because, we have communism, the Russian Revolution, the Cuban Revolution, and even the American Revolution. And trust me, people, I used to be a very gung-ho guy. I used, founding fathers. And, but I mean, I got to say, Ralph Epperson does paint a pretty good picture of, making even the American Revolution look clearly like a orchestrated conspiracy. And that's not to say, and I mean, he points to a lot of them being Freemasons, and that's not to say that the founding fathers. I mean, if you read some of their writings by like Thomas Jefferson, and he talks about freedom and these ideas that are very profound. So it's not to say they didn't have some very good writings, and I'm not saying I mean, it's just something I got to look into further. I mean, because I used to just be totally, Constitution, just typical kind of Patriot movement and the Fed type guy. But it's amazing how you think when you first get aware of all this. You think you're at one place in your mind, and you think, wow, I'm quote awake now. But then it's like, you just keep going down the rabbit hole, and then things that you once held to be completely true, just always changing. And I think, it's a good way to be open and flexible to some of this, even if it conflicts with, kind of, I guess, wishful thinking, things you wish were true. But as far as other things, oh yeah, the Korean War. I mean, yeah, the Illuminati has their footprints all over that. There is some like pretty crazy evidence of us putting Mao, helping to put Mao into power, which, if I'm not mistaken, I think Mao killed around 60 million people. It's just so over the top. I can't even believe I'm saying this right now. American international bankers helped fund the Bolshevik Revolution. We're putting these just brutal dictators into power. Didn't we even put Saddam into power? We helped. Well, I know we funded the Taliban to fight the Soviets and stuff, and then, and then I think Brzezinski, if I'm not mistaken, helped. I think it's either the Taliban or may have been Al Qaeda, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, either way, I know he was involved with some quote, fundamentalist Muslims, which, they call, they're terrorists to us, but in their countries, we're the terrorists to them. So let me just check real quick. Okay. Just making sure. Oh, the phone number, in case anyone wants to call in, is area code 347-327-9278. Just got to make sure to throw that out there every now and then. let me go. What else we have into the realm? Just to hit on briefly, because like I said, a lot of these things I want to spend a long time going into the very in-depth details, because, and I think if that sounds boring to a lot of you, the conspiratorial view of history, I hope it doesn't. But first off, those shows I think are going to be really interesting, because it's not going to just sound like me talking about history. I really am going to relate it to the situation we're in today. Yeah, and then also in this book, he talks about all, the Rothschild family and all these families throughout history who have funded the revolutionary movements, and they fund both sides of wars occasionally, and then they just reap the profits afterwards. One famous case of this, and this is so amazing, and this is fairly well known within the conspiracy movement, but is the whole thing with George Prescott Bush and the Nazi connections. Let me just go to that real quick. Because that was one of the first things I ever learned when I started getting into this. And there were some financial dealings between him and the Nazis. There's very clear evidence of that. His Bush's grandfather, isn't that just absolutely amazing? And then we had him, and then also remember when he was running with was it Kerry, and they were cousins, and they're both part of Skull and Bones. That's why. This is no joke. We're just in over our heads, and it can be kind of overwhelming. It's like, how do you even begin to counter this, And that's why I think Jeff, brought up some good points in his broadcast yesterday, as far as, because I do think there's a spiritual dimension to it. I've been having to defend that position lately. A lot of people have this, they say, okay, Ed, we like what you're saying about the conspiracy. You have good analysis of that, but then they say, oh, but you start getting into this whole thing with talking about demons and the supernatural and alien abduction, and then I just tell them, I'm like, come on, people, you cannot deny that there are elements to that in this conspiracy. I was talking, and this guy's awesome, by the way. He might even be listening, I'm not sure, but I was talking to I don't know if I won't say his name. I would have just said his first name, but I don't even know if he wants me to say that. But I was just talking to a friend. We'll call him Mr. M. And he was saying he does agree with a lot of, but he thinks that a lot of the people in the Illuminati, the shadow government, he says a lot of them, they use the occult symbols and all of it just as a deception. He says that he really thinks they're just basically power-hungry atheists. And I just I started discussing that, and I said, there's just no way in the point where I am now, I don't think I'll ever be able to say. I used to have a similar view to that, but I'm like, there's just no way. I don't even think the top of the pyramid is ultimately human. You look at the ascended masters that the Theosophical Society was talking to, and who are these beings? Why are they telling them how to set up a new world order, and why is it so similar? All these beings. Why are they so similar to the messages that are being given by extraterrestrials? Jeff has that documentary, The Illuminati Are the Nephilim, which he does a great job of demonstrating that idea. I've been thinking lately maybe the Illuminati are the Ascended Masters. Whatever the Ascended Masters are. Anyways, wow, I don't really know what that has to do with the conspiratorial view of history, but I just thought I would throw that out there. But what other? I have a few other points I want to make about why this is so important. When you study the conspiratorial view of history, it just shows you how massive the whole conspiracy is. It's like you can just see this map to them, almost like setting up the new world order. And it's basically, it's like they'll raise up a country or a group of people, use them for a certain intent, and then just totally destroy them. And it's almost like maybe you could see that with America. For the past 200 years we were just dominant, and now you can see America kind of declining. It's like, maybe we've already done what the Illuminati wanted America to do to become this big, powerful police force of the world. And, I don't think they're finished with us, but I just think you can see the power shifting, that they play countries like that. Like, when you look at history, it's different countries throughout, these empires throughout, time. You have the Roman Empire, the British Empire, the French, all these groups of people. And it's almost like now we're starting from a historical point of view. And I'm not 100% sure this is the case, but you can really see China being propped up. And the China is very creepy, because China is what these globalists and the New World Order types like. They like China, which is absolutely hellish if you think about it. Because I mean, China, yeah, it is basically hard for me to even think of. I mean, I'm not just saying that to sound dramatic. I mean, this is absolutely hellish. So who knows what these people are up to now? We actually will. I mean, we have a pretty good idea of what they're up to now. Schiff's participation in the Bolshevik Revolution was well known among Allied intelligence services at the support to the Russian revolutionary cause. The important part played by the wealthy American banker Jacob Schiff in the events in Russia, though as yet only partially revealed, is no longer a secret. And I don't know if I can stress how huge this is, people. The funds for the revolution, however, were neither the crackpot Russian millionaires or the armed bandits of Lenin. The real money primarily came from certain British and American circles, which for a long time past had lent their time. Later evidence indicates that the bankrolling of the Bolsheviks was handled by a syndicate of international bankers, which, in addition to the Schiff-Warburg clique, included more. Documents show that the Morgan organization put at least, because, and I know a lot of you probably know about this, but it's just when you really think about that. So supporting people who brought about, Bolshevism and communism, something that led to the deaths of just a amount of people that literally is just